Welcome aboard, Skylark Outdoors here, and today we are reviewing the Navan C30, which we've got right here, and you can see that price, that is as of 2024 at the Bay Harbor Boat Show. So if you're getting a used one, probably a little bit less than that, and if you're going into the future, 2025, 2026, and beyond, it might be a little bit more expensive. It's outfitted with twin 300 Mercuries, and the Navan is in that new category of boats. It's been around for a couple years, which is an adventure boat style, kind of like Axopar boats, where you've got a helm that's enclosed here, or a cabin on deck, and then a little berth. But then you have kind of the center console walk around features as well, where you can walk around on both sides and you can walk around in the front of the boat. So as we go in here, you can see this is a nice sized berth for two people. I always like that there's a little space at the end of the berth so that if you've got longer legs, you can put your legs out there. You've got right there, that's a full head with a shower, and you've got a little storage as well as heating and air conditioning slash heat pump features right down there. Here in the cabin, you've got this really nice layout for, you could probably fit three people there, maybe four comfortably, but this table can fold away so that you've got more room, or you can take that front seat and flip it backward, and then it's a table that you can sit at. And then if you want to pause there, there's all kinds of specifications there that you can look at. You've got your little sink drink station up here next to the helm, and then that helm seat you can flip around, as well as there's a cooler underneath the helm right there. And you can see an air conditioning or heat vent right there as well. On the starboard side, there's your little sink, and then when not in use, you put that cover up so you can put stuff there. Plenty of cup holders, everything else, and then you can exit on this side of the boat and walk all the way around. So what I like about these is that you have a lot of enclosed cabin space for early and late seasons in the spring and the fall, or just a bad day out on the water, so that you're all enclosed in there. And then you also have this nice layout pad, which you used to see on a lot of cabin cruisers, but typically the pads were not as wide as this. This kind of goes that full beam of the boat up here, other than the walking path, which is really nice if you want to lay out on the boat, soak up some sun. You can fit a couple people up here, and then those headrests tilt up, which is awesome if you've been on one of those pads in the front. They're always just a little bit uncomfortable, but then when you can tilt those headrests up, it's kind of like the perfect lounge chair. And then as you walk down here on the side, you've got this all the way around pathway, and you've got your other door here, which I like because you can open these up to get more airflow if it is a really nice day and you want more airflow in the cockpit. And then you've got the Mercruiser controls on here. This does have a bow thruster. You could absolutely also have joystick controls if you wanted. That's just a package with the newer Mercruiser engines here. But with this in the bow thruster and twin engine, it's going to be a breeze to park, and just the overall size of this thing, no problem. And then you've got a full suite of electronics. Down there, you don't see it maybe, but there were some poles. That's for that shade cloth up in the front, or you can have one in the rear as well, which is really nice to be able to get a little bit of shade. You've got a nice big bench here. You could probably fit 4 people to 6 people comfortably. There's a couple fold-out chairs there in the rear as well, which is nice. And then you can kind of see this boat all the way around. This thing is a beauty. There's some different configurations that you can get in this, and you can have like a stern berth in it as well if you wanted, but then you lose some of that rear deck space. But this one has the berth up front, which is really nice. You're going to get a lot out of. And then what you can do is you can flip that table and stuff around and put that down, and you can actually make that cabin a berth as well, which you don't really think about because a lot of cabins aren't enclosed like this, but that is an enclosed cabin, so you technically could use that as a second berth in there when you fold the seats down and have a little bed and fold down that table. And then I love this rear window. You're going to get tons of airflow in there, and just makes the inside feel like the outside. So I do really like that. That's a cool feature. Overall, this is a well outfit boat. What I do like about it is that it's under 10,000 pounds. So this is 8,550 pounds. We'll go through some of the specifications on this. The Navan C30 can hold up to 12 passengers. That's what it's rated for. This is a European boat, so a lot of times they will rate a particular passenger rating, and then most of the specifications are in meters, but we're going to give it to you in meters and in feet as well. Hold up to 12 passengers. It's got 600 horsepower capacity. This one is outfitted with that max horsepower with the twin Mercruisers at 600 horsepower. You've got a 20 or a 10.23 meters long, or 33 feet and 6 inches. And then you've got a beam, which is 2.99 meters, or 9 feet 8 inches approximately. And then you've got a bridge clearance of 2.26 meters, which is 7 foot 6 feet. And that you need to know for height on the trailer if you're going under low bridges, or height on the water if you've got any bridges from where you're parking this thing out to the water, or any tides that you need to understand when you are moving this boat around. And then it weighs in at 3,888 kilograms, or 8,550 pounds approximately. It's got approximately a 2-foot draft, and then 105 gallons of fuel, or 400 liters of fuel. Now, a couple other cool things about this is it's got pop-up cleats. I love that. A lot of newer boats are putting that, which is just clean and stuff that's not going to snag when you're not using the cleat. You've got a ski tow arch. If you want it, you can have that on there. You can also put rocket launcher rod holders on the hardtop if you want. You can put roof racks on there for paddleboards, which I do really like. On top of the cabin, you can put your paddleboards up there, which is great for an adventure style boat. And what I do like about this hull shape, compared to some of the other adventure boats out there, this does seem to have a deeper hull than some of those other adventure boats. So it seems like that you would have potentially a drier ride and a little bit more stable ride in the swell. Now, another thing to note on these is that the bow on this does sit up a little bit higher, but also it seems like the stern is a little bit higher. Some things to note with the adventure boats is that the stern, people have reported, if you get a following sea, that handling characteristics can be a little bit goofy. With the stern seas and an unenclosed stern, that you're getting wash over, and basically just the geometry of how that rear section of the stern lays out. With this, fortunately, what you have is a little bit higher of a stern. You've got those kind of like swim platform extensions on this. And then the other part about this is that the doors are actually located even more towards the bow, so that you aren't going to get seas potentially all the way up there. Those are even a little bit higher up. And you can see, if we ever go back to the step on this, that the stern has kind of like a step up or down. Like it's probably another, I don't know, let's just say a foot off the waterline. And I do believe that that does help with some of the issues people report in following seas. So just things to be aware of when you're looking at this, and then there's some storage back there for this. But those are things I would note when you're looking at any of these adventure boats because of those reports. Now, I haven't had that experience personally because I haven't been out in this or an adventure boat like this in a huge following sea or a storm. But you could very well potentially encounter something like that if you're doing a crossing from, let's say, the Bahamas to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or the Keys to the Bahamas, or something like that. So something to be aware of, and every boat's going to handle differently. If you've gotten on one of these, I'd love to hear your reports, but that is just something that has been reported with some of these boats that don't have an enclosed transom or a transom door. When you compare this to, let's say, like a traditional center console, where you have a higher transom that's probably 2 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet off of the waterline. So something to be aware of. But I haven't seen that personally, and I do think some of the modifications on this particular hull would help you when you compare it to some of the other ones out there. Overall, I think this is a cool boat for 2 people to go adventuring in. I love that it's under 10,000 pounds, so that most likely with a trailer, you could get this on a pretty standard, or tow this with a pretty standard truck, and it's still fairly narrow, 9'8". It's not like a true beast that's going to be really cumbersome to trail around, and 600 horsepower.
Oh, really?
I couldn't find the
Okay.
speed on the
Is
website,
there,
but guessing just from similar boats, 600 horsepower,
oh, there is, okay.
8,500 pounds, you probably have a cruise somewhere
Where do they
in the
make
high
these?
20s, and with 600 horsepower, you're probably burning somewhere right around 20 gallons per hour, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but I would say that's pretty darn close to this. Overall, it's a cool looking boat, serves a lot of different uses. These adventure boats are kind of like the Swiss Army knife of boating. You could stay overnight on them, you could just hang out, have fun on them, have a cocktail, have lunch, and you can go fishing on them. I mean, there's no reason that you couldn't go fishing on this. You could maybe get a little cramped when you're pulling a fish around on the side, but I mean, you could still do it, no problem. And it may get a little bit, trolling would probably be a little bit difficult, just with the limited deck space there and getting set up. But if you know what you're doing and you only have a couple lines in the water, you absolutely could do this recreationally and still have a great time. And then you could even water ski behind this if you wanted. You could tow a tube behind it. You could wakeboard behind it if you wanted. You could do all those water sports if you wanted. It has the tow tower, so it does a little bit of everything, and that's kind of the cool thing about these adventure boats. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the Navan C30.